Hey folks, we're in Portugal, and Portugal is a country that is well known for its art. In fact, Portuguese language was originally only used for poetry and lyrics back in the day, and that's exactly why we're here. We're here to explore the art of Portugal. We're going to be talking to some various different artists, but before we get into that, let me just explain why we're doing it. First of all, just look at this cat picture from the medieval times. You cannot tell me that people were happy when their artists were creating shit like this. And then check out the art from the hippie culture in the 60s. These are people that were exploring passion and love with the invention of prophylactics and their sexual freedom.
The creation of hip-hop signaled the need for justice and to express a cultural identity that was and still is woefully underrepresented.
And then you have Drake. Just kidding, that's not art. See, artists are like litmus paper. They are sensitive to the acidity in their environment, and what comes out of them is color, and it's those colors that will tell us eventually the stories that we'll read about in our history books. So that's why I think it's important every once in a while check in with the artist and the art that is going on in the time and place that you are. And for us, that's Portugal, and that's right now. So let's go and explore the art of Portugal.
The Fado Museum is an easy recommendation for those fresh off the plane and waiting to check into their hotel. It's a well-curated walk through the musical history of Portugal and a great entry point to the deep and sorrowful art of Fado music. It's a sentimental genre of music that is traditionally about life on the sea or the life of the poor, and has been added to the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage. It would be foolish to go to Portugal and not explore this further. After the museum, do any amount of exploring and you'll find art. Stick a shovel in the ground anywhere here and what you'll find is ancient pottery. Fado music, hand-painted tiles, sculptures, street art, street performances, food, and any other kind of artistic expression to satisfy any of your other senses are present here and awaiting your discovery. Portugal is a place where modernity and ancient history are currently competing. What would you choose, a fancy new resort or an ancient castle? And how would your answer change if you were a citizen rather than a tourist? Maybe your guts are craving an interactive art of their own, and so with haste, make your way over to Floresta do Calheiros for some classic piri-piri chicken. A unique flavor made great by the subtle warmth of spice that is approachable for even the silkiest of tongues. Or here to Trindade to pair a glass of wine with the bread you use to soak up the buttery, herbally remnants of any seafood goodie you choose. Do not pass on the clams. For those counting your steps, you can take pride in knowing that your after-dinner walk will be likely uphill, a new high watermark for your Fitbit.
All right, we're here in a town called, however you pronounce this, Cordacus, I don't know. And in this town is where Jose lives, and he is a luthier, which means he makes wooden instruments, wooden stringed instruments. And in this case, he makes the acoustic guitar and also the Portuguese guitar, which is what I'm really excited about. So let's jump in there, let's meet Jose and see what it's all about.
Jose greeted us with a well-practiced warmth. It felt more like a reunion than a greeting. He had about as much hurry in him as a comfortable recliner, and the kind of handshake that gave away the many years that he spent surrounded by tools and curiosity.
Come on. Oh, wow.
Those are so good.
Close your eyes and take one. It's amazing.
Come inside, please. So this is my small workshop. It's small, but it works fine for me. I'm just one working.
His shop had the smell of exotic sawdust and that feeling of perfect humidity, the kind that comes only from a shop filled with dry wood. He had an eagerness to answer all of my questions, the way a person does when you ask them about their romantic partner. His art is the background of another art, supplying musicians with an instrument made with a matching passion to their own. A luthier often goes unrecognized, but I get the sense that this is a comfortable place to be.
When I moved to UK, I was working all my house in UK, all the house, bedroom, toilet, everything. It was like this. It's the same size. I put some things in the floor and I worked this chisel,
yeah.
and 2 or more tree tools, and I buy everything from abroad and start to work with the everything that I have in my hands. I built about 3 or 4 guitars like that.
Do you have a favorite tool?
I have some favorite tools, yes. I love this one,
Oh yeah, the chisel.
Japanese chisel.
Yeah.
Is really good. The difference between this and this, it's the steel.
Yeah.
It's very hard. The thing is, I need to sharpen this one 3 or 4 times in one of this. Okay, it's a big differences. I think everyone will say to you, probably this is a very important tool.
Which one is that? Scraper?
This is, yes, it's rasp or a scraper.
Okay.
You do lots of work with this. It was one thing I never thought is so useful for a luthier, is this.
Tape. Really?
Really, I do everything with this.
Yeah?
Everything. But I've been working with wood since I have 14 years. I make furniture and that kind of things.
And then you switched from making furniture to making musical instruments. How come? Why?
It wasn't a choice.
No?
No. Because we have a problem here in Portugal, probably all around the world, that we have we don't have work. Everything stopped. And I was living in that time. I was living in Alentejo. My boss at that time, he asked me and the other guys to come to have some talk. The talk it was to explain us that he doesn't have work for us. Okay. And after we spoke, he told me, "Oh, you play guitar. Why you don't go here? We have a old man that he builds guitars. Maybe he can accept you." Okay, what? Really? And I came there. It was a gentleman called Daniel Luz, and he accepted me. I didn't know that I will like it as much as I like it. And my first idea is he builds acoustic instruments, but I play electrical guitar, and I want to build electrical guitars. But I will come here, learn what I can learn, and then apply that to electrical guitars. But I never go back. If you're going to go to acoustic, you don't go back.
Really?
You really don't go back. This is a Coimbra guitar.
Wow. It's beautiful.
You see, this old bone.
And is this floating like a violin? Or
Yes,
it's
floating.
just
Yeah.
held
If
by
you
the-
take off the strings, this falls up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, this is one of the.
This Fado guitar wasn't built by Szombath. He's working to repair it.
Yeah, for Portuguese guitar as well. Yes.
It's from Coimbra, which is another city in the middle of Portugal. You can tell by the tear-shaped ornament on its head. What struck me was how small the instrument was when it was separated from the musician. It's almost as if when played, the instrument takes on a larger life. This guitar was an actor that stepped down from the stage.
Every time that I need help or they need help, we help each other because nobody knows everything.
Right.
And we need to help each other because it's not only make money, it's only make beautiful things. You had lots of luthiers that they live all his life and died without passing the knowledge. I think this is the worst thing you can do because you are always starting from the beginning. I'm a new guy, I'm starting from the beginning. Now you have change. You can change that. The funniest thing is some people will pick what you are doing, change it, and have equal or better results.
Right.
And try to get all the results from the piece of wood that you have.
we brought a little gift actually for you.
Oh, thank you.
From Canada. It's just silly little Christmas gift.
Oh, thank you very much.
This is also from trees. This is Canadian maple syrup. This is darker because it's from later in the season after a lot of the sap has already been taken from the tree. So this is what that is. So it's a little bit richer, a little more bold of a taste. Still very sweet, but it's a little smoky. I think you'll enjoy it.
So, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
It was such a pleasure.
Well, if you were wondering if BMW drivers are also shitty in Portugal, the answer is yeah, of course they are. All over the world, they are always the shittiest drivers. Why is that? Portugal has car factories here. They make Peugeot and Citroën cars, which are French cars, or at least they were. And that's interesting to me because I've never been in a Citroën or a Peugeot. I've only driven them in Gran Turismo, the video game. And I quite like cars. We don't get those ones in North America, so that's kind of interesting. Portugal actually has a good relationship with motor vehicles. They host a WRC rally race here every year. And even if you're not into rally racing, the one thing you should know is that any country that hosts a rally race is instantly 10 times cooler than a country that doesn't. And the reason for that is these racetracks cut right through small towns, farms, people's backyards. Like, you'd have to be a cool community to allow cars to drive at breakneck speeds straight through your front yard for an entire week. And so it's that kind of togetherness and oneness in Portugal that I just absolutely love. And it shows in everything here, not just the cars. So keep that in mind. Maybe if you're looking for your next vacation destination, look at the countries that host rally races.
Now, where were we? Ah, yes. I urge you to find yourself a Fado house, somewhere deep and as far from the tourists as possible. When the lights go out, the doors get closed, the morose and sentimental in you gets a chance to surface in the anonymity of the dark, in the warm, protective palm of the musicians before you. The shows are just long enough to enjoy a glass of wine or two, but their effect is infinite.
What's your name?
My name is Patricia.
How long have you been in Portugal?
I have been 9 months
9 months. And you're originally from?
from Colombia. When I arrived to Portugal, I arrived to Lisbon. I was there 1 month and then come to Porto.
What is the main difference between Porto and Lisbon for you?
Oh, Lisbon has a lot of beautiful places. I guess most than Porto.
Is it easier to live in Porto than it is in Lisbon?
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah. Why is that?
Mucha gente de muchos lugares, multicultural, encuentras de todos lados. Acá en Porto, sí, obviamente hay mucho turismo, pero también o sea, más que todo son portugueses. Y las oportunidades de trabajo en Porto creo que son mejor.
Have you seen it yet? Have you noticed? The lines between what is an artist and an average citizen are blurred here. After all, what is an artist but one who creates with love? What does your Fitbit say? Probably 1 million steps by now, each one rewarded with the work born of passion. The architecture, the tiles, the street you stand on. Is this a simulation?
We are about to go meet a man named Robin, who is a violin maker, or luthier, here in Porto, Portugal. And I'm curious what it's like to make violins and own a workshop here in the heart of Manuelan architecture and fortified wine. So let's go find out for ourselves.
Robin, you will soon see, was born to do what he's doing. Behind his appearance, a man who's charged with embalming the art of classical music for future generation, an artist for artists, unrelenting in his pursuit for the perfect violin. Had he aimed his passion at anything else, I get the feeling we would still be here talking to him today.
Okay, well, can you show us around maybe and talk us through what you've got going on here?
Yeah, what's going on here? A violin, which is here for like a maintenance work. Yeah, maintenance. I made it 2 years ago in Porto. Here we have an older violin from 1800 around. It's from Guadagnini, a musician here in Porto who's playing it. And it wasn't able to be played because of some major problems.
What are some of the things that need maintenance on a violin, like regular maintenance?
It depends who's playing it.
Okay.
Or talking about classical professional musicians who play often hours per day, like up to 8 hours, or depends, sometimes more. Strings get broken, the bridge is moving, all the parts where the strings are touching around, they get, they have to be maintained. So otherwise the strings will get too low, or they make some noise which is quite annoying in a concert or while playing on your ear also, like buzzing sounds. You have to change the strings. Even this black wood here is ebony, which is one of the hardest woods we have. While playing, you really get like some deformations through the fingers and nails and strings. So every year, more or less, you have to straighten plane the fingerboard. Otherwise, you can't play it after a while.
What's your goal with the shop, or have you achieved it already?
Making instruments and selling them, not because of selling them, just because of, well, first of all, because I live from it, but mainly that musicians have better instruments to support the music scene, which in Portugal is problematic. The classic music scene has a lot of not very good instruments, and because of a lack of regulations of apprenticeship, master exams, which here doesn't exist.
Is there a healthy community for classical music musicians in Portugal?
There is.
Yeah.
There are orchestras, like in Lisbon and in Porto also, and in Coimbra and all, but they don't have a lot of orchestras, so there are not so many musicians. And they're not so well paid. As I said, we had tried to do these yearly gatherings of luthiers to share knowledge and because it's the only way, I think, to involve, to have some progress in your own craft. You have to share with your colleagues first, and that's very important.
I think a lot of people will be curious to know do you have a favorite tool?
A favorite tool, let me think. There might be several favorite tools, but one favorite and also really important tool is a carving knife, which is nothing special, but it's the most used tool ever. And it looks like this. It's for carving the shape of the instrument around here. It's for carving later the scroll. It's for carving the neck, for carving different shapes, for carving the bridge where the strings pass. Another favorite tool, which I don't use often, but for the very rough working I use it. It's made by a friend who already passed this year, an old man who was the founder of the Austrian School for Instrument Making, one of the few schools in Europe. And he made this planer, it's called, no?
Planer, yeah.
Planer, yeah.
Finger planer, right? This one?
Yes, it's a finger planer. That's a very beautiful one. And also must be approximately 180, 200 years. It has a lot of marks, and also it got mistreated a lot, so I don't do nothing with it. Indeed, I used it in my house construction. Yeah. Sometimes. Like if you work next to this tool, for sure the violins will sound better.
Why violins? Or are there other? I see it looks like maybe a cello.
It's a cello, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, surely you could sell more guitars than you could violins, right? Why not that? Why bow to string instruments?
Well, first of all, I came from guitar making. Like I started with guitar making, and especially historic guitar making, like late Renaissance Baroque instruments, lutes, which I discovered is a very small business, because either you marry into these connections or you play this music in an orchestra, otherwise you can't enter almost. It's very difficult. And later I ended up with violin making because there's the only profession where you can find a job. Because there's funding, there's governmental funding, there are workshops, there's a big worldwide community behind it. And then I found out it's much more detailed. You can go really deep in it. Like the question about sound, talking about sound for musicians also, is much deeper with boat instruments, classic boat instruments.
So how do you find being an artist here in Portugal? Is it easy to live in Portugal, easier to live in Portugal as an artist than you think in other countries, or how has it been for you?
It's easier to live, but also because I think I have a maybe, let's say, privileged situation of making classic instruments, which comes with a different financial situation of musicians and orchestras, which helps a bit. Generally, it's not really working good here because there's a lack of money usually, you know, and everything in Portugal. But the people are great, and that's I think what a lot of people makes them moving to Portugal, because the society itself, the people, they're really great. And I haven't been in a country where I felt so much welcome and comfortable being, and made such a good contact with, like in this neighborhood. It's like living in a village.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows everyone, and as I said at the beginning, sometimes I can't even work because of not only house and instruments, because there's constantly people passing by my window, knocking on my window and want to talk with me, which is one of the most beautiful things that can happen, to combine your professional life with your private social life.
Sure.
It's beautiful. Portugal is a problematic country in many reasons, politically, economically, environmentally also sometimes, but I think there's a certain vibe of people, which is really attractive to live here.
I've had that same experience here just as a visitor. Are you optimistic about the future of Portugal? Or?
Yes, I'm definitely optimistic.
When I told her that we were coming to Portugal, my friend Jessica said, and I quote, "If you don't go to this sandwich shop, I will scream." So no need to scream, Jessica. We're gonna go in there and check out and see what it's all about, just for you. That was good, Jessica. You were not lying. I just want to stop people on the street and make sure that they've also had this sandwich place.
To me, I think the most Portuguese thing, it's like cuss words, because it's like a thing. And when we say them, it's not like to cuss out someone, it's to give more like emphasis to the saying.
So curse words.
Yeah.
What's the most popular? Teach me a curse word that I need to know.
I think the most popular one is probably like foda-se.
What is it?
Foda-se.
Foda-se?
Foda-se, it's like almost like saying fuck, you know, like fuck, you know, like foda-se. Or like when you get like surprised about something, you can say to like foda-se, like, you know, it's like
I love that.
It depends on how you use it, you know, it depends how you say it, but yeah, I think this is it, yeah.
All right. That's a good one. All right, thanks, man. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
When I was researching Portugal, I went down this rabbit hole, as one does when they explore on the internet, and I went down the rabbit hole of the invention of glass. And hear me out for a sec. It's arguably one of the most important inventions, or rather discoveries of humankind. It means everything to us. Imagine where we wouldn't be without glass, right? And it was discovered by accident. We had been working with metal for so many years before then, many, many years. And in the process of putting metal into the forge, we would put sand by accident. And what would come out were these little glass beads. And this happened all over the world, somewhat simultaneously. And also simultaneously, the first thing that we did with those glass beads was create art. And then, after many years, we turned it into something practical, like the glass that we have now. The point is that you give humans the tiniest little hope, the tiniest little chance at doing something positive, and they'll do it, and they'll take it. Things are tough for a lot of people in the world right now, and it seems like all of our governments are fighting and people are fighting against each other, but we don't have to do that. Maybe if you just did something positive, even if it was the tiniest little thing, it can take on a whole life of its own. You should try it out and see what it's like. And that's why at the end of this video, I want to tell you, take care of your neighbors, and we'll see you in the next one.
It was on one of our final walks in Portugal that we stumbled upon a young man who told us he was homeless. And if that was all that was said about him, you would think he was asking for money or bothering people, as homeless people so often get mislabeled. But actually, in between his constant struggle to find food, safety, shelter, and belonging, he spends his time playing piano, bringing an elegance to the surrounding neighborhood, giving those of us who are not worried about our next meal a reason to smile. I can think of no better artist to end this video than this young man.
So your name is Elvis?
Yes, I'm from Brazil.
Oh, from Brazil. So you're just visiting?
I'm living here 3 months.
Oh, 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and always in Porto?
Always in Porto.
So what do you do here in Porto?
In this moment, I'm looking for some job. I come here to Portugal and I have job in the first month, but I have some problems to receive, and now I'm living the street. And this is my life in this moment. Yeah.
Okay, so you're living in the street, but you're playing piano.
Yes.
Are you thinking about doing piano for a job?
For career, maybe, but I believe that I must take a job first, to engineer my life, and then I can think in work with the music. Wow. I play with just for fun, for love.
There isn't a place in this world where you can find people and cannot find art. And I would submit that even where there are no people, there is still art. And while you could explore this world from wherever you are in search of these artists, even in your own hometown, I think there is something particularly deep in Portugal that enables its denizens to create. As Portugal quickly ramps up its tourism, my selfish hope is that the soul of it doesn't get muddled, that artists like these don't get left behind, because a new resort will have none of the grandeur of the country that they would scrape bare in order to build it. I would rather none of us get to witness it just to know it's still there. Love and compassion are fighting a losing battle against convenience and rapacity in the world today. But luckily, the world can be won not by the material in it, but by the people who make it a beautiful place to behold. Let's not ruin Portugal. Let's be more like them.